Alright, so we got the quarter panel welded on, everything fits good. This video, body working, I'm going to dress the welds, body fill the areas where it's going to be low. So I got there, and down there, a little bit of filler. Put a tiny little dent right there, all sorted out, but the rest of the panel is solid. Just got to finish dressing the welds everywhere. All that stuff on the inside gets seam sealer, but it's sunk in right here, so I'm going to show you how I'll fix this little bit of a dent, a sunken area. Just going to use my little 90-degree grinder. I got a 36, an 80, and a ceramic grinding disc. I'm also going to be using my mini belt sander. There's a 40 grit on there. This tool is really good for grinding down plug welds and even the stitch welding on the seams. This does it's really precise, so you can get that weld ground down smooth. And I'll use a combination of these three and that to dress all the welds and get everything ready. And of course, use the DA. We'll go over that a bit more and how I prep my metal for body filler. Thing about having the squeeze type welder, all of that in there and all of these welds in here, I don't even have to dress them. These are already taken care of. Rubber goes over, they're already exactly how they were at the factory, just like that. Don't even have to touch them. Saves me a lot of time. If you can afford a $40,000 welder, or if your shop has one, then yeah, use it as much as you can. So that helps. But yeah, I'm gonna start getting to it. So with this, you can go this way. I've been going this way just to grind the weld. I'm trying to avoid grinding the panel itself, but just the welds. I don't want to grind too much and thin out the metal. So I'm just trying to grind the weld out, trying to make it look like this. I don't want to, I always have my 3-inch grind just to smooth that out later. This can be kind of aggressive, so just have it look like that, and you won't thin out your metal too much. Same goes for your plug welds. Just take it easy. Don't have to go too hog wild on it. That took all of 5 seconds to make it look like that. That's all you're going to need to do to dress the plug welds, make them look exactly like that. Seam sealer goes over top of it. Just got to take a look at the other side and you see. Just get the big mass of metal out and you should be fine. So I got everything ground down with the 40 grit mini belt sander. I'm going to dress this up a bit more with some 36 grit on a 3-inch grinder, and then follow that up with some 80, and I'll show you how I prep the metal for body filler. Again, go at it lightly. You're going to want to try and make it look something like that. Try not to grind too much metal away. Just try and grind the weld area. If you feel like you're grinding too much of the flat metal around the weld area, stop. Focus more on the weld. There's going to be a lot more metal there. But if you've done this well with the belt sander, it should come out clean pretty much like that. I didn't spend too much time on it, but later on you can just go in here on the edge. You can clean it up a bit more if you like, but I wouldn't be too worried about getting it perfectly flat, because the filler will end up filling those little bits of low spots. So I kind of smoothed out the area a bit more with 36. Take my 80, smooth it out even more, and try and grind out the 36 grit scratches with the 80. Smoothed out, still a bit low there because the heat sunk it in, but that is finished 80 grit with the 3-inch grinder. I'm going to feather this back more, put some 80 grit in it, just with the sander here, using the Norton Cyclonic 80 grit. We'll dress it up one more time, give us a nice smooth clean surface to work on, and I'm going to start dent pulling on this little low spot. So here's my panel beater, just a battery in there. Little tip you put on your metal, you hit the button and it'll make it stick. Gotta have it grounded to the panel. Shrinking tip, so essentially you put it on here, kind of welds itself and you can to the panel, then you can start pulling it out, and to break it loose just give it a twist and it pops. Just like that. I can do this one-handed. It's a little awkward, but you can see the... Oh, come on. Who used this thing last? Jesus. Everything's just loose. Yeah. So twist it. You can kind of see that it pulled it out. I'm going to pull that out until it's... Yeah. Do it all along here wherever it's low. Pull it out. And then I'll grind it flat and get it ready for filler. It's tough to get that weld area to move. There's a lot more metal, it's a lot more work hardened. There's a backer plate behind it, so putting it right there and trying to pull it, it's just not going to work for me. So I'm just pulling around the area, make these spots higher. It does pull the middle out a little bit. And again, it won't need much filler to fill that seam, so all in all, so far so good. A couple more tugs on this and I think she'll be ready. So I just ground it down with 80 grit, buzz over with 80 on the DA. Feather out your paint best you can. With this vehicle, classic Honda, paint's all cracked. I think I'm going to end up stripping this whole thing, but I want to get the body filler work done before I strip everything off. Feathered everything back, finished in 80 grit, and I'm just going to fill this area. Same with my spots over there. I'll get a skim coat as well. And yeah, get this thing blocked down, and I think I'm gonna take this thing outside and strip that. Probably strip, I'm thinking I'm gonna strip these two doors and just refinish these two doors just to make this side look good, because this is also cracking. It's getting really bad there. I don't want to go too crazy with it, but I think just getting the side looking good will be nice. Read your tech sheets. This is Evercoat's Z-Grip body filler. And it says it's good for direct to metal. I know restoration shops, they want to put epoxy down, which I agree with. Put epoxy down to seal that metal and bodywork on top. That's a good practice. Collision industry, we just kind of do it like we're doing over there. But our product is meant for direct metal, so that's why we use it, and it sounds great. About 2% hardener, so about that. If you want to weigh it out, weigh it out. We get more accurate results, especially if you have to mud things over and over to get them straight. Having your mud drying at the same time or the same hardness is easier when you're body working, so definitely would recommend weighing it out if you want to be very particular. But once you kind of get an idea of what 2% looks like, just go with that, which is about that much for this amount of filler. So just try and put it on as smooth as you can. You're better off to do 2 or 3 light coats versus one heavy one. Just makes life a lot easier. But yeah, get it looking like something like that. Filler dries, I'm going to take the handles out and take the mirror off, take the belt moldings off, strip the doors apart, and strip the paint. Come back and we'll start blocking. Stripped. There's a body line in here. I'm going to block this. I'm going to block this, try and keep that line straight. Piece of masking tape on either side and blocking up to it so that the tape takes the scratches, not the filler work. Then you can get yourself a sharper body line that works the same for if you're doing primer. So you have a body line in your door, tape one side, block it, take the tape off, put new tape on the other side, block it, you'll have a nice sharp line. 80 grit, so think of this as my block. I want to hit as many angles as I can. I'm going to block it like this, I'm going to block it like that, I might block it straight across, but I want to make sure I get an angle. Coming across, the idea of hitting all the angles is if you could just go in one direction, it'll be wavy. Say you block this way, especially on a door or something, or a quarter. If you only block this way, it's gonna be wavy up and down. The idea of hitting the angles is that you straighten it out in each direction. There's the block of choice. Nice handles to hold on to. So there's the first couple strokes, kind of going like that. I'm not pushing really hard on the panel, just enough to get it to start cutting. I want the sandpaper to do all the cutting for me. So I'm gonna go that way a bit. I'll go this way next. I'll come straight across next. And I'll just kind of keep going, feeling it where it is until you get it perfectly straight, or until you feather this out, but you still have to find a low spot and then you still have to fill a little bit more. Feel it. You can even take a straight edge. If you take a straight edge to this, you'll see if you see a gap, or if it rocks back and forth, you either know if you have a gap, there's a low spot there. If it rocks, then you got a high spot there. Feel it with your hand. You can feel it dip in. Sometimes wearing a glove helps because it gets rid of the texture of the panel, so you can feel any low or high spots. But I know this for sure needs another coat of mud, and that should be good for this one. So I think I'm gonna call her quits for today and pick up another time. So I'm back. I just started blocking this. You can still see it's a little low right there. Should be able to block that out nice and flat here. And I got the doors and the rest of the quarter stripped off. I've 80 gritted that front door. I need to 80 grit the back door and prep the inside. I'm planning on priming this thing today. When you're mixing your mud, don't stir it. Fold it into itself. Kind of imagine like you're pushing out any air pockets, if there's air pockets in here. So when you stir it, you're introducing more air, which can add to increased pinholes. So you just want to limit how many pinholes you get by just folding itself into each other, kind of just like that, and then you give her on the applying your filler. So I got everything finished, bodywork finished in 180. I buzzed all this with 80. Primer I'm using is a direct to metal high build product. It's the Vibrance VP 2050. So it can be put on 80 or all the way up to 180 grit scratches. So probably put one heavy coat in there, 2 heavy coats everywhere else, and that should be it. So here's the primer I'm using. 2 parts that, 1 part hardener, half a part of reducer. This primer that I'm using, it's fairly new to me. I like it because it's direct to metal, so it saves a step of the epoxy. This is an epoxy hybrid product, and it's a high build. Benefits of direct to metal and high build in one: save a couple of steps. I'm using this $40 gun I got from Princess Auto. It's a 2.3 and it just lays it down nice and thick. It's 2 coats is plenty. Like 2 coats is probably equivalent to 3 or 4 of just any regular urethane based primer. So I'm gonna get this thing primed up, and in the next video I'll be prepping the car, then painting the car, then assembling it, and the rest is up to the mechanical inspection. So like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah, we'll see you in the next one.